to get from this session is how to build healthy foundations, and as sort of a side note, how to create a more healthy dating culture in church, because I believe church just does a lousy job at the moment catering to 25 plus singles in whatever shape or form they come. And I'm on a mission, both here in Britain and in Europe, to awaken churches to these issues and help them address them. So the foundation of healthy dating, as I described in my book as well, is to be connected. And to be connected, first of all, to God. To be connected to yourself, your own issues, your expectations, your mindset, all of those sort of things. To the people around you, your community. A lot of us do dating all by ourselves and feel like this is our job and we sort of have to do this and figure it out ourselves. I believe strongly that we can involve your community into your dating life and benefit from that. And to be connected to other single people. So this is what we're going to cover today. Most of it before coffee, no. Joking. If you need a break, tell me. So today, God. I'm happy you said that about how to have God central to this process, because what I believe that we as Christians have as a big bonus in this whole process is that we know we're rooted in Christ, and that love is ultimately coming from God and not from within ourselves. If you want love to come from within a place in yourself, you're sort of on unsteady ground, right? Because some days you will feel love from people around you, and there's other days, I don't know how you would have that, but I have those days that I don't feel love for anyone. And I just have a hard time getting through the day. And especially in those days, it's good to know that God is our foundation, is our ultimate source of love. If you go to God first to be loved, to feel loved, and to know what love is, you're on more solid ground when dating. Now, this may sound a bit abstract for some of you. I do also believe that God gives us people around us to feel loved. God cannot give me a hug. My friend can give me a hug. My mother can give me a hug. God cannot give me a hug. He loves me through those people. So it's a bit of both. But if you start with God, you start with a very solid foundation, I believe. The tricky bit about dating God is this is what churches sometimes get wrong, is that it isn't, you shouldn't over-spiritualize things. So the whole praying and waiting, who of you hear that in the church? You should just pray and wait. I've heard that for years and years and years. You should pray and wait. And I did, faithfully, from 23 onwards to 28. And then I spent 5 years praying and waiting, waking up one day in my Amsterdam apartment, which I bought, having a counseling practice, having a fixed circle of friends, going to a certain church where I went to for the past 5 years, thinking, I don't need any new guys. And the only guys I meet are clients in my practice. I'm hardly allowed to date those. If I keep on praying and waiting like this, will I turn 38 and still be single and not be a mom, which I wanted to be? What will happen? And I'm happy now. I had a fun life, and it was filled with friends and filled with a very interesting job and living in a great place and vibrant Amsterdam, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't want to be single in 10 years' time. So I was fine with being single at 28. I didn't want it to last. And my question, I went to my mentor and said, okay, so I've been praying and waiting for the past 5 years. What is God going to do if I don't meet any new men? She said he will bring him to your doorstep. He will be so faithful that he will bring him to your doorstep. Now, this sounded much like the book I first mentioned about the 10 rules to finding someone. And then I luckily stumbled upon the Cloud book saying, giving that exact example. He was talking to a lady who said the same. She said, I don't want to be single. I hate being single. I don't know why God has chosen that for me. And Cloud said to her, seriously, has God chosen that for you? Yeah, she said, because I've been just doing the praying and waiting thing, and I know God is so faithful that he will bring the one to my doorstep. And he said to her, seriously, who's ringing your doorbell? The mailman, maybe? The UPC guy? It's America, right? So, I don't know. For me, it's Tesco and the postman. Anyway, he said, unless you want to marry one of those guys, you probably have to get out there and start looking. So, having said date God, I will also say there's things to do. So don't over-spiritualize it, but do start there. Another friend of mine told me he'd been praying for a wife for years, and he said, you know, the funny thing was, I just prayed for a wife, just like that. God gave me a wife. And I never realized that in order for God to give me a wife, he needed to maybe first give me a girlfriend. And in order for him to give me a girlfriend, he maybe first needed me to meet women in the first place who were single. And in order for me to do that, I needed to get out of my comfort zone. He said, because I'm very shy, I never ever talk to women. I never meet them. I never dare ask someone out. So he said, I've learned how to adjust my prayers. Take them a few steps back. God, help me to meet someone today. Help me to talk to someone today. Give me the guts to ask someone out today. Which is a different prayer. And it helps with your mindset. It's the beauty of it. If you change the way you pray, you also change the way you think. Because the whole thing about waiting is, yes, there might be some waiting involved, but there's also an amount of responsibility to take. Now, I once said it in Amsterdam in my course, and there was this lady saying, oh, wait a minute, don't you believe that God leads our lives? I said, well, yeah, I do, but all the teaching you get is on God leading your lives. I assume you get that bit. I want you to think about the responsibility bit. Because as I see it, it's two, well, I'm Dutch, so I use the bike example. There's two pedals on a bike, right? You need them both to keep going. So it is responsibility, and it is trust in God and his provision. Are you single or desperate? How many of you hear that sometimes? You don't say that here in Britain, right? This is a Dutch thing, right? No.
Desperate or fussy.
Fussy?
One of the others.
You will get that?
Yeah, or you're just obviously too picky.
You should think, yeah, that's another one. That's a bad one. I got this in the Netherlands at one point. I was interviewed on national radio by a guy my age with a wedding ring on. And he said, so, tell me, Aukelien, are you a happy single or a desperate single? And I was on live, on radio. I said to him, are you happily married or are you desperately married? Yes. He said to me, was that a wrong question? I said, no, it's an impossible question. How can I answer that? I, like probably you, have happy days and desperate days, and lots of days in between. My life is fine, I'm just happily flowing or whatever. But people sort of emphasize a difference between married people and single people that isn't there. Which is, to me, is odd. And I still find that, even though I'm married now for 5 years. Because I think it's just a different way of doing life in general. Okay, I'm very happy to be married. I'd like to keep it that way. But it's not a massive life change. It's not that I've reached some sort of higher goal now. So, expectations. This is a big one, right? You see, that's so sweet. This guy gets flowers. Guys, don't give flowers on a first date. It's awkward. Just a little tip. I wonder what he's up to, because that's what happens. People start to have expectations. What's going on here? When they really like you, they expect you to marry them. When they really don't like you, they figure out ways to dump you. So, you may not want to go there. Expectations make first dates hard. And I believe this is especially true in church. People expect way too much of a first date. They expect marriage. Most of you do. And that makes sense, because that's how you're wired to think, and it's also how church sometimes pushes you to think. You should only date when it's really, really, really seriously something, when you see potential there. But when you have your expectations set so high, chances are massive that the date will disappoint, or that you will be so stressed out about it that you will not be your best self, that you will either shut down or get overexcited. I was once dating this guy who didn't stop talking, literally. He went on and on and on and on and on, because in his mind he had decided that I was the one. And it freaked me out a little bit. But daily, I was sort of sitting there thinking, my goodness, I'm not getting a word in here. What should I do? Should I just leave? Or does it matter that I'm here or not? And I said to him afterwards, because he wanted to date me again, I said to him, no thank you, I think this was enough for me. And he had the guts to say, okay, that's okay. Why? I liked that. I thought that was a very good question. I said, well, I'll tell you why. You were intense. You were talking, and I couldn't get anything in, and I didn't feel like I was seen, actually, to be honest. Because if no one asks you questions, it's hard to feel seen, right? If no one asks you, so what do you do? What, you see that in those speed dates, those awkward speed dates on the whole country love show. Who has seen it? BBC Two. Love in the Country. Love on the Countryside.
Oh, is it on now?
It's on now. It's fun. Go watch it. It is terribly awkward too. So
is it like first dates?
Yeah, well, it starts with, the concept is they start with letters, and then they pick 5 people and they speed date, and then they get 3 people in their farm, then they get to know them better, and then they kick them one by one out. It's a brilliant concept. I love it. Don't sign up for it. It will be horrible, I think. But it's fun to watch. Anyway, for me, I may be completely weird. So if you expect too much out of a first date, the pressure is on. It's either on you or on the other person or on both of you. If you lower the expectations, if you just, and that's why I'm asking you, have you met someone new, anyone new this week? Probably, if it wasn't someone you wanted to date, you haven't been giving it a second thought until I asked you. And then you realized, oh wait, yeah, I did meet someone new. Yeah, I was at the coffee machine at my workplace, and there was someone, a new colleague from another floor, and we said hi. I didn't give it a second thought because it was just meeting someone. That is how I want you to feel about dating. That's lowering your expectations quite a bit. And I want you to go into dating just meeting another person. Not giving it much other thought than that. Not giving it your best effort. Don't wear your best dress. You can look nice, that's fine. You can brush your hair and your teeth, that's good.
I like to wear a nice dress on the first day.
There you go. You can.
Dating dress, have you?
But don't put too much pressure on yourself and on the other person. And in doing that, you will be doing both of you a favor. Do pray for your dates a bit, because it helps. Do get God involved. I always pictured Jesus sitting with me on a table, if I was sitting at a table, or walking next to me. It would help me calm down. I wanted him there, I wanted him to be involved in the process. I knew I had the responsibility of making choices, but I wanted him there and I wanted him involved. So I pictured him sitting there with me, and it calmed me down. It helped tremendously. Because it gives you another perspective, especially when you're dating another Christian. It helps you know that he's the father of both of you. Now, listen, it always sounds a bit creepy, but you're dating a brother or sister. In a non-creepy way. How do I explain that? You're dating someone who is also a picture of God. And it helps also with the calming down to realize that. And you don't need to judge the other person. We'll get to the whole rejection bit later. You don't need to judge the other person on a first date. All you need to establish is, do we have some sort of a flow, some sort of a good conversation going here?